What's up, guys? You know what night it is. It is Wednesday night off-centered with Dustin, who calls himself the personal finance dad, but most of us just know him as the king of mediocre content, and some of us know him as the personal grazing cow. Before I bring on our guest, a couple things. We have the pack break giveaway next week, and the instructions are going to be sent out in my newsletter, which will come out Friday. So if you're not already signed up, go to thecomebackcardinvestor.com, sign up for my newsletter. The instructions will be there, but the actual link for the drop where you can sign up will be on the 15th of June, which is next week, which is the day of the break. It is through Whatnot. So if you're not familiar with the app, it is like the QVC of sports cards. Very cool app, great things that they're doing, and they're also headquartered here in LA. So I'll be doing the break from the Whatnot headquarters. Also, I have an Instagram, the Comeback Card Investor on Instagram. I'm trying to keep up with comments and DMs. I'm already falling behind, but if you're on Instagram, connect with me there. And that's pretty much it. So welcome back. Now let's get to work. All right, what do we got going on over here? The personal grazing cow in full action. Caught in the wild. Ladies and gentlemen, we caught him in the wild grazing. What are you grazing on tonight?
My God, I didn't know we were live.
You never do. Solid grazing choice. Solid grazing choice.
You can graze on this stuff forever, man.
Dude, for sure. Let's say hi to some of the people here before I actually say hi to you. Mike C., what's up, man? You're always here first. Good to see you, Steven. Troy. I went number one and went number two, and I actually just plowed through a bunch of roasted potatoes here. And so if I'm burping a little bit, that's because it's working its way down. David, good to see you in here as well. What's up, Michael? Yeah, dude, it's funny because y'all know the rituals already. I showered. So my hair is always wet when we start because this time is when I come home from the gym. I shower. I try to have my 60-ounce smoothie, have it processed through my system, get it out of me before the live stream, just plowed through some potatoes. Dustin's in the middle of his nightly snack. So it's just funny how like we get our patterns down. So I'm always like, pacing myself, like how much food can I stuff in me because I do intermittent fasting. So it's really a challenge to wait until about 7:30-ish Pacific time. And so I get that in me before. But anyway, definitely admiring him, the Braden Point cards as well as his play. Good to see you, Michael Ham. That's right, Bark. That's the name off-centered is kind of like the name Bark Charlesley. You know what I mean? It's like kind of, a play on words. I like that. What's up, Michael? How good to see you, Logo Card Collector. I mean, is there really a good baseball game? Is there a good regular season baseball game?
Yeah, World Series Game 7. That's about it.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, we'll say hi to some of you guys later on. But Dustin, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, I actually kind of weird, but I took a power nap from about 6 to 6:45 unintentionally. I literally laid down on the couch, and my son was kind of running around. And then I just kind of blacked out for about 45 minutes. I lost time. And I woke up to him like right in my face, like, Dad. I was like, oh, my God. So, yeah, I feel refreshed. I'm good to go.
Typical dad life. It sounds like such a dad thing to do is fall asleep on the couch and have your son wake you up.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. It's been good week. I feel like I don't usually eat like this type of popcorn stuff, but it's just, I don't know. I'm usually like low carbing to some degree, and now I'm just like plowing through carbs.
But look, you're not low carbing. I mean, if it's not obvious, that picture we saw, the promo picture of us, that actually is me fully, but I had to do a lot of Photoshop effort for Dustin over there.
What do you mean? What, to make me look a little bit like chunkier around the waistline?
Yeah,
I thought my abs. You made my abs very average in that. In that
dad abs. It was dad abs. That's what it is. But anyway, so you're heading down to Florida tomorrow. That's why we're doing this show tonight. So what are you doing down in Florida, and what part are you going to?
Yeah, so I'm going to go to Cocoa Beach. My grandfather's turning 90 on my dad's side, And so we're going to go see him. He was actually, so he was kind of fun fact. My mom's dad and my dad's dad were both fighter pilots in the Air Force, but my mom's British. So my dad's dad was in the American Air Force. My mom's dad was in the Royal Air Force, and they knew each other because they were on the same base. And that's how my parents ended up meeting. Just kind of a interesting, turn of events. But yeah, so he just turned 90. So I kind of joke like, what's the key to longevity? Well, be a fighter pilot. And he also smoked a pipe for like 30 years, so.
Sounds like a badass.
Pretty much. Yeah. The dude is pretty awesome. So I'm excited.
What happened to you, man?
Well, no, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I hope I got just an ounce of those genes. I'm going to start smoking a pipe here soon.
That's cool. I know Cocoa Beach is pretty beautiful, and that's on the other side of Florida where I grew up. So there's actually some waves there. But I feel like everyone's parents or grandparents are in Florida. It's like pretty much just, yeah, that's how it is. All right, man. Well, look, it's been kind of a slow week. We got some news from PSA. We got some stuff, but it's not been like groundbreaking news over the last 6 days. And I want to talk about PSA first, and we're going to take some of your questions too. So if you have any, maybe recent eBay purchases. What's up, Troy? Or I actually picked the wrong comment there. That one's cool. Here we go. Jordan's question about recent eBay purchases, if you have any. But let's start with PSA because there is actually a bit of news from PSA. And you heard the interview with Nat Turner. And just fill us in on what you heard and your takeaways.
I mean, there was a few interesting things that I took. There wasn't, and we had talked about it, nothing like absolutely groundbreaking out from the interview, but I did like to hear, one thing I really did like to hear is that there's a big focus on security. And that was really kind of the main purpose of the Genament acquisition is kind of for that AI. A lot of people put focus on the AI for the grading piece, which I think it will have an effect. But the way that Nat was talking, it was more of like, we want to make sure that cards are authentic. That's a big reason for that AI. And I think that's really important because like we've seen, there's fake slabs, there's fake cards, there's, these types of things. If it gets out of hand, it can be a huge deterrent to people getting into the hobby and people that are already in that are like, well, I don't know if I want to keep going if there's a chance this could be fake in some way. So I really am happy to hear. I hope all the companies invest in kind of the security side of the hobby, making sure that their intellectual property is protected as much as possible and, just try to stop some of that stuff. So that was a big takeaway for me. He did say, that they're not coming out with any 9.5 grades anytime soon. They're not going to come out with a black label 10 type PSA grade. So he confirmed a couple of things there.
I think it'd be a nightmare if you introduced a new tier. I mean, just in terms of regrading and like, well, my PSA 10, I think should be a PSA 11 or a black label or whatever. And now you're going to have, I mean, it's like you can't just change the scale in the middle of it. I think it would open up a huge can of worms for them to introduce new grades or even subgrades and stuff like that. Because now it's like, well, you're going to get people cracking and submitting. And now doesn't PSA have a policy or they're saying that we don't want you to resubmit? There's going to be the Genament or there's the technology that shows if that card has been submitted.
I think that's part of their goal is to have kind of like a fingerprint on kind of like so they can tell which cards have been graded. To kind of, slow that down, that practice. Yeah.
So, but if they introduced a PSA black label 10, I mean, you can't blame someone for resubmitting their PSA 10 to try and get the black label if they really feel like it's worth it. Cause it's like that's a new tier. Like what if it actually is that caliber? You can't say, well, it would have graded this, but because it's already graded a PSA 10 because it was graded 5 years ago, we can't do it. I mean, so it seems like that's just the right move to make based on how many problems would come up from that. The other thing with Genament too is if PSA has a security-based AI and the other companies, the BGS, the SGC don't, then it's even more reason to say, look, I'm not going to buy a high-end card from these other companies just because at least now Genament, at least now PSA has the security in place. But if the other companies don't get some sort of security, then if I was like a scam artist, I would just be trying to do the scams on these other companies. knowing that there's a better chance of getting away with it. And then the people buying those SGC or BGS or whatever other company cards, then they're the ones that could really lose out. So it's kind of like if one grading company takes this in and adopts this AI for security reasons, I feel like the pressure is put on all the others to do the same.
Well, and it's a huge, it separates them. If they're able to use that as kind of on the marketing side, they can say, hey, look, we're working hard to make sure this is authentic. And yeah, I think going back to the 9.5 grades and stuff, I think probably from a business standpoint, they're probably thinking like, why reinvent the wheel and to add in these new elements when we already have a popular product, we already have millions of cards in the backlog. We're not trying to gain popularity with new features. Like it's already working. We already have people that have submitted the cards. We just need to execute, the grades and make sure it's authentic.
Yeah. It's like you're tightening what's already working to make sure that it'll continue to roll. But if you spread yourself too thin with all the different projects and ideas, then I think it would just be a disaster. Okay. So anything else from the PSA conversation? Because I'd like to take a couple of these questions and let us know if you have any other questions about PSA as well. But Dustin, you heard the interview. I don't know if there's anything new except for what you said. And then July 1st seems to be the target date as well. Like they're completely caught up with entering cards in the system. I think that was another takeaway.
I believe I heard him say that they will reopen in July. He just doesn't have information on which levels, will open back up, but they do plan to be on track to open in July at some point. The other thing he did mention as well is that a lot of because there's a lot of kind of talk speculation about, it's harder to get PSA 10s nowadays. They're grading harder and these sorts of things. His reaction to that was, product is not coming out of packs. Like quality control is not great right now with some of these new products. And, a lot of times they're coming right out of the pack, a PSA 7, whereas maybe in previous years they had more quality control or whatever. Obviously, it's all case by case, set by set and whatever. But he was saying that's more on kind of the new products than it is their grading practices.
What's funny about that is I went to Bullpen LA months and months ago. This was when I picked up my submission in October. And the guy there showed me this optic card that he got graded through BGS. And he got the card graded because of how funny it was. It was literally, it was like some sort of base card. And you could see the other player on that card because it was cut so bad. So imagine two base optic cards and they were just together. They're like one player is right next to the other. And instead of cutting the card normally, you would kind of cut it in the middle. So you have 3/4 of one player and 1/4 of the other. And it was like an embarrassment in terms of quality control. And you might be able to look it up online. If you look up like worst centered sports cards or something like that, you might be able to find it like if it pops up. But in terms of quality control, what's that?
I probably won't. I was just laughing at
not you, anyone else.
Oh, okay. Michael, this is great. Quality control at Panini is headed up by Creed from the show The Office. That's a great comment.
Real quick though, but in terms of breaks, I was like, well, wouldn't this hurt breaks? Because if you're paying a fortune to go in on cards, to maybe get a rookie card, to maybe get a Prism Silver, an Optic Hollow, or a rare parallel rookie card of a player, only to find out that you actually got the card you were looking for. Like you got lucky. Like you were the one person of the whole box that actually got something worthwhile, only to send it to PSA and then it come back an 8. Right? Like that, I would imagine that could damage breaks. Maybe not retail, because retail is actually priced pretty low when you can get it. But for these breaks, it's like, well, at the end of the day, if you're just going to get a PSA 7 or 8 and it's a great card, then you may still have lost money, even on that specific break.
Well, especially when you consider that the lowest grading level might be $40, $50. I don't know if we'll ever see a $20 grading level again, or at least not for years. So yeah, if you're thinking you might get a 7 out of the break, you're definitely not paying $300 unless it's a, top tier rookie. But even then, it's extremely risky.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of any pickups, are you buying vintage? I saw a couple comments here. Are you buying anything right now? Or, obviously the market's low for a lot of different areas, but not
Yeah.
every area. Are you focusing in on any sport or any era?
I have I bid on a Bo Jackson auto. I don't know. People might say that that's, well, it's not a vintage card. It was immaculate. And I was looking at a couple of different, like a flawless auto. I don't know. I saw a couple of Bo Jackson autos that I really liked. But I'll be honest. I mean, my buying has definitely been slowed way down because, and I said it last week, I really want to be well funded at the National, not because I think the National is going to have a bunch of amazing deals necessarily, but I just want to see. I think that just like with a lot of card shows, my thought is that there's probably going to be, a lot of dealers at the card show where I can't find any bargains, but I think that there's going to be pockets. I think there's going to be pockets where people are pricing stuff to sell. And I think that there will be opportunities. So I do want to be well funded because we are making it a big deal, a big trip. We're going to fly out to a card show. We're going to stay there for a few days. I'm not going to pull a Brad and fly out for 3 days and buy nothing except for one card on eBay. So
now, see, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go around and be like, don't you know who the hell I am? I'm Brad, the comeback card investor. I will pay 50% of your asking price. I'm just going to be like, look, if you don't give me a great deal, I'm going to ruin you by calling you out on my YouTube channel.
Brad's National content actually is going to be must-see TV because it's just going to be nothing but shakedowns at the National. Like, hey, buddy, make this deal or you're going to pay.
You know what sign I'm going to put on your back? I'm carrying a lot of cash. Please mug me. I saved up for the last several months just to come to the National and spend a lot of cash. I have unmarked dollars stuffed in my pockets.
Well, and now. You go to put the sign on my back, and my wife already has a sign on my back. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell's wrong with you guys?
I'm gonna walk around. There's gonna be like 9 signs on your back. You're gonna be like a Starbucks bulletin board.
I'm talking to my wife. I'm like, hey, babe, is there something on my shoulder? Because I feel like something rubbing on my neck. She's like, no, you're good. You're good.
You're good. But okay, so you got the Bo Jackson you're working on. Anything else that you're focused on right now?
I'm trying to be really, and don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things I want to buy. There's a lot of things out there that I'm on my watch list that I'm just kind of paying attention to. And it's not that I wouldn't pull the trigger. It's just that right now I'm trying to be really disciplined of like, I want to get a deal. I want to really get snag a deal. So if I'm not going to save for the National that money, then I want it to be on, something where I got a great deal on an auction, type of thing.
Yeah. And for me, I am focused on a couple football players, but there are, and the thing is, because I see it as like the last opportunity, because when NBA season's over, I don't think anyone's going to care about Devin Booker, like whether they win or not. Once it's over, there's going to be too much of a wait before next season, and I expect a lot of the money just to go to football. So I'd rather get football out of the way now. And so I am looking at Mahomes. I am looking to see if there's any Tom Brady. I am looking at some of those guys, but I've already stocked up on so much football that this has been the slowest buying time I've had, period, in spite of seeing a lot of deals. And there are some good deals out there. And I know a lot of cards have dropped, but some of them have really plateaued. So if you
are you worried at all about, because there's going to be everyone trying to sell in August, football. Are you concerned at all about, hitting the supply wheel and there's just a ton of supply out there and you're sitting on it?
Yeah. And so here's the thing is I thought about this because I'm like, well, look, if everyone thinks sell at the beginning of the year or in preseason or whatever, I'm like, my whole thing is I'm going to sell when there's a profit that I'm happy with, period. I'm not going to overthink it because it's too hard to overthink. Like if you overthink, or like if you try and time it right, you might be considering 2 or 3 of the factors, but not considering 8 or 10 of the factors. And again, just like anything else, if everyone knows to buy the player before the Hall of Fame announcement and sell at the Hall of Fame announcement, it doesn't work when enough people know it. Like the demand always has to outweigh the supply in order for that to be a good move. So for me, I'm like, look, I see the prices being low now, so I will buy. When they go up, I will sell. So it doesn't matter when, but I'm hoping it's sooner than later, as in maybe it is July, maybe it is August, and most people are looking to sell end of August or into September or something like that. So I just don't want to overthink it. I'd rather just move on. Plus, there's going to be a lot of deals on basketball.
And I saw you in your video. I thought it was smart, kind of just the reassessing expectations when it comes to what you're going to sell for. If you're getting a 25, 30, 40% or 50%, back on your money type thing, then it might not be 200% like it's been, over the last couple of years. It might just be more realistic, type buying and selling.
Yeah. And here's the thing is, look, I don't want to assume it's going to be another 2x, 3x. However, we see these giant waves. We saw it's just like a giant surge up and then cool down, and then 5 months later surge up, cool down, and that's just the way it's been. Yeah, please pound that like button. That does help a lot. So I appreciate that, Troy. So here's the thing.
Only about 20% of the people think this is what they like.
Well, I think it'd be higher if you weren't on. So.
Well, and the worst part is 19 out of the 21 likes are my fake accounts. They're my other accounts that I've got working on the background. Get working, nuts.
All right, real quick. So, damn, I lost my train of thought. You ruined it. Okay, like profit margin, I don't know if it's going to be another huge wave. I would imagine so, just because I don't think it takes much, right? Like when things plateau, which some cards I'm looking at, the last 3 to 5 sales are flat. And then I look at it closer thinking to myself, okay, is this the bottom of this card? Or will it dip down again? Or will it start to creep up? Or will it just stay there? I don't know. But when I see that, and I'm going to see it across the board, that's when I get excited, because once someone says, hey guys, it's turning around, prices are starting to go back up, then people start hearing that and then start getting in and then getting in. And it's funny because like I thought about it this way, where years ago I got my real estate license in Florida, and I actually had a YouTube station that was around my journey into real estate. And I soon realized I just like it as an investment. I don't want to be a realtor. I think it's like the worst job ever. However, a lot of the realtors I talked to that were, I think it was like not Forbes 30 under 30, but it was some other thing that they got. They all said people get into real estate way too late. The best time to get in is when the market is dead, because you can clean up. You can like actually go in there when no one else is in there, and you can learn so much about the market so that when it does go up, you will be in a great position. You'll have all the relationships, you will have the rapport, you'll have all the knowledge. And most people only get into real estate and get their license when the market's already doing good. And so now they have to play catch up and have all this competition. So I kind of, I mentioned that just because I want to always remind myself that when things are low and no one's really caring is the time I really want to double down, versus when everything's good. When everything's good and going up, that's the time I want to sell to other people that forgot all about it.
I kind of like to, if I go back to fall of 2019, so the card market, it didn't just start happening in 2020. 2020 was the big kind of upward climb. But if you go back to fall of 2019, you had Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. If we're just talking about like football card prospects, those guys saw a huge bump. Mm-hmm. And because obviously they were having great seasons, there was a rhyme to the reason type thing. It made sense. Whereas when you get into 2020, then you just have kind of everything going skyward, and you don't really know like what's real and what's not. It's like I want to get back to a market, and I think we are heading that way to where it is more even keel. Obviously like the volatility is fun, but it should be on stuff that makes sense. If Pat Mahomes goes 16-0 and wins a Super Bowl, it should make sense that his stuff goes skyward. Whereas if an average QB stuff goes up 300% just because, people are specking on it, it's like, there's not sustainability to that really. So I really hope we get to more of kind of a level deal where we just kind of have ebbs and flows and we can kind of guess and play that game.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the speculation and the gambling aspect is so much fun. It's risky. Like obviously, like I use the word investing, but investing, flipping, gambling, they all have overlapping themes, because it's not just buying a card for me to hold on to forever, but it's like, look, how do I gauge what this player is going to do, what this card is going to do, and who is going to want to buy it and at what time. And that's all speculation. But yeah, for me, I mean, look, we could talk about the market. Football, I was looking at the prices. Football has not dropped much compared to the other sports. I think there was a handful of cards that have dropped more than 50% over the last 60 days. Because I did my email, my newsletter this morning that I'll send out Friday. And I think there was 12 football cards that have dropped over 50% graded under market movers compared to 88. I think it was like 88 for NBA. So 88 cards, NBA cards that are graded have dropped more than 50% over the last 2 months, while only 12 for football. And that's based on what is entered in market movers, not every card in existence. That's eBay sales on market movers, period. But at least it gives me an idea of, okay, it looks like football is getting pretty flat, which makes sense because we're getting closer. We're getting closer to training camp. A couple headlines are coming out, and that's not going to slow down. That'll only heat up. While basketball, every week we have a couple less teams involved. So we have more players that are going to be irrelevant for at least the next couple months.
I struggle too with kind of, the short-term plays, year or less type thing, buy and sell. And then also there's just a lot of vintage stuff that I like. That's kind of where we're a little bit different. I know that you're not really big on the vintage market, but I really enjoy a lot of the vintage stuff. It is more expensive. It's not like and I'm not buying raw vintage. If you buy raw vintage, you can get deals, but I'm not looking, I just don't have enough of the eye, especially if I'm buying online. I don't want to get a reprint or, a trimmed card or whatever. So, I'm looking at graded stuff, and it's not inexpensive. So that's where I'm always trying to, with my budget, trying to figure out as a collector, because those are more long-term. I'm not buying vintage to flip, I'm just not. So that's something that's always kind of a struggle for me. And then I'm also into old comic books too, vintage comic books.
Everything old, Dustin. The name Dustin, dust. You can't spell Dustin without dust. Old is dust. Everything. Falling asleep on the couch.
And I still look younger than you. Amazingly.
Look at this. Radiant skin. Radiant skin.
All right. You want to get to some questions?
Yeah, in terms of what we've been buying, we answered that already. Let's talk about NBA playoffs, because I did see some talk there about what you've seen so far in the playoffs, as well as who you're rooting for as well. But one thing I wanted to mention, and it's this comment by Michael, I think about this all the time. I am looking to play chess, and I think a lot of people are playing whack-a-mole. They're just like, what is the simplest, stupidest thing? I hear this, I do this, and the joy for me is the strategy. I love piecing this together and being right or wrong based on my own merit, which is why I don't like breaking, because it's like scratch off tickets, and I'd rather win or lose based on my own doing and then work to improve it, because I'm just like a mentally stimulated type of person where those kind of mental games turns me on, and luck doesn't really do it for me. But so I just thought
So you just load up on Deshaun Watson cards. I mean, it makes sense.
Hey, if he goes to the Broncos, then there you go, man. That I could have my 24 hours of being able to offload and actually make 50% margin or whatever else. But hey, all you need is a bit of hype, and then 8 hours or 12 hours of the news breaking, and it could be game over.
And then the next video is going to be Brad talking about how everything went great with Watson. Everything turned around, and I was too late to the auctions, and I sold 6 days too late, and now I've lost money.
Honestly, I've learned that lesson already, though, where there are certain players, and this was Damian Lillard last summer when he had those 3 games of scoring, 63 and then 50 and then 52 or something, where I took my time to list. And the biggest lesson was something like that happens, you should have the listing up already. And that's why I like the idea of, if you have the card in hand, you can list on eBay. And if it's not something that you need to sell right away, then you can wait till the card show or Instagram or Facebook. But for those moments, for those headlines, for those monster games, the game-winning 3, the Hail Murray, whatever it is, I want to have that listing on eBay ASAP, within 30 minutes or an hour. But anyway, whoever guessed it would be 30 minutes until I have to have a bathroom break, congratulations. I owe you some props. Dustin, take it from here. Entertain the audience.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, this is kind of how this always goes, guys, isn't it? Like I'm literally on his show. He has no idea what we're doing. He's, he probably just went down the street to grab like dinner or something. And I'm left here. It's embarrassing. It's sad. It's embarrassing. Let me look in the comments. Even though I can't pull them up, we'll look. Yeah, Neo, exactly. Make bank on Watson, treat yourself to a massage. That was a dad joke, and you're not even a dad. Nice work. Or I don't think you're a dad. Maybe you are, and I didn't know that. Investing in Matt Stafford 3 months ago was a great time. I got some nice stuff I'll unload in August.
That was so bad. I just had to stop midstream and hold the rest just to come back here.
I went straight to the chat where the real entertainment is. You were just going on and on about something.
So what was it, Matt Stafford?
Yeah, there's a comment about Matt Stafford pickups. Kind of. Now, I'm curious. Did you pick up after he got traded, or was that in anticipation of the trade? I can't see the. Where was that comment?
Yeah, you're gonna have to tell me the time.
I just had it, and now I don't see it. Oh, right here. ASMR people at 9:30 p.m. Investing in Stafford 3 months ago is a great time. I got some stuff. I'll unload in August. Yeah, but that's kind of the. So was that pre-trade, or was that like the second he was traded to LA? You jumped on those. How did that go? Hey, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you're gonna have to let us know in the comment section. But again, I'll offload in August is like if it's that common knowledge. Remember that. Maybe everyone's
I might be a buyer in August just because everyone's selling in August.
But see, here's the thing, like that literally is it. And it's kind of like this double-edged sword where, if we share this and enough people hear it and adopt it, it could actually change the game. But if everyone is thinking dump in August, just because last summer was dump in August 14th, guys, that is the peak. That does not work when everyone knows it. So if the prices are there, then that's great. But if the football surge happens June 25th through July 14th and it's super early, I'm selling early. It doesn't matter. Like to me, profit is good. I'm not gonna look back and say what if because every time the biggest mistakes I've made, I think, besides buying just the wrong player or the wrong cards is, like when I've sold at a good profit, and the biggest mistake would be I could make more profit if I waited longer. But I know that if I used that approach, I would have lost out a lot more overall.
Yeah. I was planning to buy a lot of football in October. That's kind of where everything dies down. I say that, but it's like, who knows what the market will look like in October. But that was my plan. I was just going to kind of chill out on football, wait until October after the season has started, and then kind of look back in and see where we're at that point.
Here's the thing. If you are following football and basketball and baseball and hockey, or at least 2 or 3 of the sports, if you're following, Marvels or anything else, there's going to be opportunity year round. That's why I'm not worried. I'd rather just sell when there's profit, knowing that, oh man, I'm out of inventory in August. Well, guess what? Basketball probably won't start up until late November or December. I know that they have the Olympics and it's already pushed back this season compared to 2019. So they're already having to find their way back to a normal start date. But there's going to be time to buy whatever. I'd rather just sell and then roll it over versus overthink it. So very similar there. Okay. NBA playoffs. Let's talk about that. What are you watching? What are you seeing going on in the NBA?
I've been staying up way too late watching basketball, like all of the games. I stayed up last night to watch Jazz Clippers. That was an interesting one because the Clippers were really in control of that game. And then all of a sudden, Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz kind of turned it up in the second half, and they ended up winning that game. But I think the reason why I'm so into it is just because, in the West, it's wide open now. Now that you don't have LeBron in it anymore, now it's like it's pretty open as to, and I really kind of, it's not that I dislike the Clippers. I just want to see another team. I want to see somebody new. I don't want to see Kawhi in the finals. I want to see a new team in there. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to beat the Nets, but I just want to see a new team in there, whoever it is.
Same here. I've been watching the games. I like Denver. I like Phoenix. I think the Nets I'm okay with, except when you're the team that everyone thinks is going to win and you have the stars, like the proven stars over years, then it's not as exciting. Like, I'm actually happy the Lakers lost. I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm just a fan of my neighbors here in LA actually being in a good mood. If the Orlando Magic were somewhat relevant, that would be my team. But LeBron, I'm like, I'm not a fan of you. If the Lakers lose, you guys won last year, it's okay. But the Suns excite me. Denver excites me, their future. And I like small market teams. And the games have been good. I got to say, like the Trailblazers, even though they lost that game, I think it was game 5 or so, or game 4, the one where Lillard went off for 60 or something. Like, that was cool. I mean, I'm like, Damian Lillard needs to be on the Mavericks. If that happens, that would be my number one non-Orlando Magic team that I'd want to win. Because, I mean, you have the excitement of Lillard as well as Luka. I'm like, how entertaining would that be? And you have the ownership of Mark Cuban, which honestly, seeing him on the sideline year after year, I actually do find enjoyment seeing someone that I noticed from TV, from Shark Tank, and being a personality that I hear about being on the sideline.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's interesting about Luka cards in general is kind of the anticipation of the Mavs adding a star to help him, because that's really been the news. The news has all been like Porzingis is not really carrying the load as the number 2 in Dallas. You know, there's all sorts of speculation as they're going to move him. You know, they're going to bring, and so that in itself, if they bring in a Dame Lillard, or they bring, you know, they make a splash, they bring in another star to Dallas, you know, then does that have an impact on Luka cards? That's just stuff that, and I've heard others talk about that too. That's not news to anyone. I'm sure a lot of people are thinking the same thing there.
Well, I mean, Luka would easily be one of my top off-season buys, like maybe in August or September, depending on when I sell football and what I sell it for and where his prices go. Luka would be so obvious, because not only for himself, but for that upside of a second star that they desperately need. And I don't know what their cap space is. I'd have to check what that situation is. It's probably not great, but it's such a big priority that getting a second star will be, it's got to be like their first priority for Dallas, and doing whatever it takes to get that bona fide Pippen, or I was going to say Robin to Luka's Batman. So
okay. I was like, Robin Lopez. Who are we talking about?
Yeah. Well, you're the comic book guy.
Yeah, no, I got it now. I got it. Okay. He needs a Riddler.
Yes, I guess. Oh my God. Like, wasn't he? What was the difference between Riddler and Joker? Riddler was like a jokester as well, right?
Yeah, I guess they have some similarities. I'm not going to pretend like I'm a DC Comics expert here.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Let's do some rapid fire on questions. This one was good from Ty Ford, and I believe you actually there was another question. I don't know if it was Ty or someone else, but card ladder versus market movers, and I think you did a video going over both. Do you want to just summarize it, or how you use each one?
Yeah, I didn't do a video kind of going very in depth into both. I use both of the tools for different reasons. The one main reason is because there are cards that are in card ladder that are not in market movers, and vice versa. So to have both, it kind of gives me the, you know, all worlds. I can kind of check on a lot of different cards. There is a lot of crossover, of course, but you know, I really like both tools. I'll be honest. I mean, so I would say that's the big thing. Card ladder has some historical data that goes back a little bit further than market movers does. Market movers has some really cool features, you know, that card ladder doesn't have. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't have a preference there. I just like, and I think that it's important to, you know, to use both for me. For me, that's what works. But, you know, I always say, like, for people that ask, it's like, try out both and just, you know, try out both for a month and stay with the one you like and get rid of the one you don't, or, you know, get rid of both, keep both, whatever, you know?
I mean, it's like trying different restaurants. I mean,
yeah,
try one for a month, go and actually use it. Try card ladder for a month, actually use it. And then try market movers for a month, actually use it. Some people will resonate with card ladder more than market movers, some market movers more than card ladder. I recommend using something, though, because it's like there's a lot of money being thrown around based on, I think this player will be good. And that's not nearly what I would be spending a lot of money on. Like, that's not solid enough for me to feel good about throwing around hundreds or thousands of dollars. Okay. I didn't mention Utah. Yeah, Utah Jazz is a fun team. I hope they do well.
To answer Dex real quick, no, I don't get the service for free as an affiliate. I pay for both services. So that's separate from being an affiliate.
Yeah, I get I get both for free because I'm good.
Oh, wow. Well, there you go, Brad.
But either way, I mean, I would be lost without that stuff.
I want to support those platforms. So,
well, you get StreamYard for free. In fact, they pay you every time we're on your show.
Everybody gets StreamYard for free.
Okay. And then, yeah, I've heard Slabstocks is coming out with theirs. I don't know when it's going to be launched, but that will be very interesting to see what they can offer for free, knowing how much work and man hours goes behind entering all this stuff. So I don't know what their model would be, but it's obviously like that's competition that, if they're able to deliver and it works and it's what people want and need, then both Card Ladder and Market Movers will have to adjust and really either lower the price or more than likely really up the value that they offer in order to keep that. But I mean, that's how the hobby's evolving too, because soon a lot of people will be able to spot these trends and sell off at a better time, buy at a better time. And so if you're not using something, then how are you not going to get further and further behind if you're not using something to see the 30,000 foot view of what's going on in the hobby rather than just that 5 foot view of what's right in front of you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I'm all for kind of innovation in the hobby, and I like the tools. I'm all for new tools. I did a video on Card Genie when that came out a year ago, and I think I was the first one that made a Card Ladder video. I didn't even know who those guys were. About a year ago, I saw the kind of a preview of it pop up. So I'm really kind of supportive of all these innovations. I like to give everybody a chance and give everybody a shot. I wish I could get pistachios for free. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Who makes pistachios?
Honestly, I don't know, but if I ever get pistachios as a sponsor, I will just do everything I can to hold on to that sponsorship. That'll be it for me. That'll be the end.
Okay. So anyway, let's see this one right here. Oh, here's the thing. eBay affiliate links, it's like 1% to 3%. It's very low. It is not, and you would need a lot of volume for that to work out. But Saints versus Bucks, this is gonna pump us up for the season. Who would you buy, Michael Thomas or Mike Evans? And what would your answer be first, Dustin?
So the reason why I would pick Michael Thomas is because of all the weapons that they've got in Tampa Bay. And that's really, and I'm just taking I'm a diehard Saints fan. So obviously you probably think I would just pick Michael Thomas anyway. But if the Saints had 5 other receivers that were just like Michael Thomas, then I would say Mike Evans. But, Michael Thomas gets the ball a lot, or historically he has. He owns the completions record, I think, for single season completions record. So I just feel like our offense revolves around him and Alvin Kamara. Like it all goes through those two guys, and then we just have support guys. But that's really it. If we're just talking about strictly from stats, that's why I would pick. I feel like Mike Evans, great player, but he can have a great game, or he can be then maybe another guy gets all the touches.
Yeah, interesting, because I bought Michael Thomas in December of last year, and his cards were super low. And the thought process was for $65, like $60 to $65, I was getting his PSA 9. Then for $230, I was getting his PSA 10. It's lower pop because it is a 2016. I believe 2016 was his rookie year, and it's silver is the base that year. But he had such a bad season that the season before he was the number 1 wide receiver in the league, and then it was just like, did he have COVID? I know he had like a bunch of stuff, like injuries left and right.
He had an ankle injury that just plagued him all season. I mean, his first 2 or 3 seasons, he was lights out, and then last season he missed 10 games, 12 games or something. So he had been very durable up until last season.
Yeah, and he's a great receiver, and he had Drew Brees and all that, and I bought him at a good price, and I bought him because it was $65 for a PSA 9, and that was so low because the expectations were really high, and then he was injured throughout the year. But he also was coming back right around the time the Saints were entering the playoffs, knowing that if the Saints did make a run, it would be partially because of him, and maybe those prices would skyrocket, but also knowing that they were so low that they should be about the same throughout the offseason and hopefully going back up into next season. And so the prices have been pretty much that, like 65 for a PSA 9, 230 for a PSA 10 last time I checked. Mike Evans, though, I feel like he just gets overlooked all the time. And yes, Chris Godwin's there, Antonio Bryant, Antonio Brown. Antonio Bryant was a receiver, I think, for the Cardinals. Antonio Brown, Gronk, all these other guys. But Mike Evans, I learned this, I think, last year when he broke the record for 1,000 receiving yards for the 8th consecutive year. And I think Randy Moss is the only other wide receiver that has 1,000 receiving yards in the first 8 years of a career. It's something incredible. Mike Evans is just like, he's overlooked, but
he's really good unless Marshawn Lattimore's covering him, and then he's invisible. That dude does absolutely nothing against Marshawn Lattimore. You know, it's going to be interesting. So here's a hot take for you. The guy that everyone loves to laugh at, crab legs, Jameis Winston. I'm going to predict here on the show tonight, and we can follow up and look back at this. I think he's going to make a comeback. I think he's going to be good this year. And I am the first person to say, like, a lot of my siblings went to Florida State. I watched him play at Florida State in Tallahassee. I've seen the good, the bad of Jameis Winston, but I just have a feeling he's going to make a comeback. I know Bucs fans will laugh at me, and that's fine. I feel like the Bucs kind of got the worst of Jameis, kind of got like the training years for him.
You mean his whole career?
Yeah. Well, now he's coming into his 6th or 7th season, but now I think he got the LASIK. He's got now look, am I buying his cards? No. I mean, I'm not like trying to buy cards from him, but I'm just talking about we're just talking football right now. I think that he's going to be halfway decent.
Well, halfway is correct. Here's the thing: is like Jameis Winston, he can have LASIK. It's his decision making. It's why would you steal crab legs from Publix? Why didn't he grab a girl inappropriately in college as well? Or no, he screamed that in a cafeteria. He screamed something very inappropriate. But it's the decision making with Jameis Winston, and half the time he's like a coin flip. Half the time he scrambles out of a sack and throws an amazing touchdown because he also had great wide receivers in Tampa. He still had Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. And then the other half of the time he threw to Marshawn Lattimore, or what's his name?
Oh, who is our
Marshawn Lattimore? Is that his name?
Oh, yeah. Marshawn Lattimore is our number one.
I don't pay attention to losing teams. I only pay attention to Super Bowl winning teams. So whatever your cornerback is that couldn't get the job done.
Since last season when you got back into football.
Yeah. Well, that's why I got really excited about football. But okay.
Tom Brady signed like the day Tom Brady signed his contract, Brad opened up his childhood, closet, pulled out the jerseys, everything else.
You know what's funny is I was thinking about discussing what's on our wish list for cards, like what's on our PC wish list. And honestly, I'm like, I just want every Tom Brady Buccaneer jersey card. I don't even want his rookie card. I don't care about cards of him in a Patriots uniform because I don't want to see him in a Patriots uniform because of how amazing it is for him to be in a Bucs uniform. So even if it's like a $20 select silver Tom Brady Buccaneer card, like that, emotionally, that's going to remind me of the day he signed with the Bucs. And that was like right when quarantine was starting and everything was about to go south in society and in life. And that was the one glimmer of light that just carried me through the whole summer. So, yeah.
No, but seriously though, the Bucs are so stacked. I do think that they're going to repeat. I think they'll repeat. I think they'll be back against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl next year. Obviously, there's parity in the NFL and injuries happen and all that, but it's just hard to those two teams. It feels like they're kind of locked in for another run. Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see, man. Well, that's the good thing with football is that this is the thing with basketball and baseball and hockey as well. Each game doesn't matter that much because there's so many games. In football, every game matters. Every single week matters because one loss is the difference between making the playoffs and not, especially when there's only, I guess, 17 games now, but usually 16 games. And then injuries are a really big deal as well. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to that. Who do you think is going to win the NBA playoffs at this point?
I think the Nets are going to win unless something happens where, I mean, the fact that Harden went out and they still just stomped the Bucks by 30 or something like that. I mean, I thought, okay, Harden is injured. That's going to make things a little interesting. Can the Bucks make it a series? Can they regroup, make adjustments, and make it a series? Because I thought that with Harden down, I feel like the only way the Nets, for me, and I don't have, look, I don't have Durant cards. I don't have any say in it. I don't have a bunch of Harden rookies or anything like that. But unless they drop another player, and unless like Durant gets hurt, I just don't see how they're going to be stopped. I don't know.
And what's really interesting is that, I mean, like Kevin Durant, all right, you're established, you've won, you're looking great, you're on the team with Kyrie Irving, who's looking good, and James Harden, who knows if he'll be back in time. But to see how much his Topps Chrome cards have dropped, I thought that was a bit surprising. Like,
you're talking about Durant or James Harden?
Durant, because I haven't seen what Harden's cards are at right now, but I thought that was very surprising because even if they were pumped up a lot before, they really went south quickly, and yet the Nets are still looking like the team that could easily be in the finals.
Well, any kind of talk about, like, are the prices baked into the championship already being won? It's kind of like when you heard a lot of talk about Durant a couple months ago with guys, like you said, Topps Chromes and refractors selling for tens of thousands of dollars. It was kind of like, I feel like that's like that pricing built into them winning it. And now
here's the thing is, like, they're actually still in the hunt to win it. It's not like they won and then it drops down. It's that, hold on a second, the prices where Kevin Durant's cards are going, and I haven't checked the others, but if they're going down to the same level as the players that are actually eliminated, then that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I said it last night on my live stream, but this
next live stream.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Actually, I appreciate your support. But I know you're probably doing yoga, or you're doing some vegan thing.
I told my bot to log in and to like the video, but I guess the bot didn't do a good job.
There was somebody There's 3 different people impersonating you, so maybe that's what it was. There's three different bots. But I mean, like, this Nets team makes me think of like the '80s Pistons, like Isaiah Thomas. It was like the team that won championships that nobody really liked, and I feel like that with the Nets. It's like, I know there's Durant fans out there, but all 3 of those guys, and there's a lot of James Harden fans. There's Kyrie Irving fans, but out of those 3, it's just kind of like, nah, I mean,
well, also they're new players on the team for the most part. They're not like KD on the Thunder, or like, it's not like rooting for a player that was drafted by the team. It was more assembled, like, I don't know, kind of like a science project. Like, let's just assemble these players, throw them on this team. They don't have history for that team. I think that's what's kind of cool with the Suns and the Jazz, and besides them being smaller markets, is that, like, Damian Lillard and the Blazers, I'm like, dude, I want you to win because this was the team that took a chance on you, and you've remained loyal, and there's like some sort of feel good like equation to it versus we just assembled all these players, and we're going to be smart, and then we're going to put them in our jersey and pump them out there, kind of like the Yankees. I kind of think of it like the Yankees in a lot of ways, where it's like, look, we have the resources. We're going to buy you. You're going to want to come because it's New York. You're going to want to come because it's the Yankees. And now we're going to throw you on the field, and you better win a championship. And it's a lot like more heartless. It doesn't have that feel good. We took you in from day one and developed you, and now you're winning, like a feel good Disney story.
Yeah, I agree. It is kind of like, how do you root against a team that's built from the ground up, versus the super team, dream team that was created, the Frankenstein dream team that, it's like, it's hard to root for that team.
Who do you think is going to be in the finals?
I think it is, God, it's tough, man. On the West, you could really make an argument for any of those teams left in the West. As much as I don't want to see it, I almost feel like it is going to be Clippers Nets, just because those are the two teams I don't want to see. So I feel like, the Kawhi and those guys are going to make adjustments, and they're going to make, they're going to get there. I don't know. I think that the Nuggets, even though I know that Porter has played well, I really feel, and I know maybe people will disagree with me, Jamal Murray is an important piece to that team. And I know that MPJ has played really, really good. Other guys have stepped up. I just don't know if they can get over the hump, with the younger guys. So
well, what's funny is that Jamal Murray was one guy that I noticed whose cards have dropped a ton, which makes perfect sense. And so I was looking at it on eBay, and that was one of my safe searches. I'm kind of going to blow the lid for me on it, but that was one player I was looking at.
I do. He was one of my spec guys. I do have quite a few of his rookie cards, and I was thinking the same thing. Like, should I maybe buy some more of Jamal Murray? But I don't know. I'm just I'm kind of in a wait and see mode on him.
Well, I like the fact that it was a bit older, as a established player. The pop counts weren't very high, and I think they were around $200 for a Prism PSA 10. 200, maybe 210. Like, that's not bad. $200 in. I understand it's a small market. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's where I'm like, look, on this caliber team, that's what I'm looking at now in terms of if I'm going to make any moves for NBA, I'm going to look at who has dropped the most now and do I feel like he's not going to go further down. And Jamal Murray was one of those guys that I saw his charts. They had plateaued about 190 to 200. And then I've been looking at it, trying to get a winning auction or a winning bid in at that price. And I lose out by a couple bucks or whatnot. So, but it's one of those things where the Lucas and the others will probably continue to drop. But guys like Jamal Murray or other players that have been out for a while, perhaps that's it. Perhaps like they're at that floor. But, who knows what the next couple months will bring. Yeah.
No, I'm excited to really just kind of watch see what goes with these. I do like the Suns. I know that I bought that Booker card, but honestly, it's not even because of that card. I like that team. I like how they play together. I like Ayton and just I don't know. I would like to see the Suns kind of make some stuff happen. But yeah.
What's up, Tyler? I do off-season pickup for sure. Steph Curry. I mean, I'm like, this guy. Obviously, he's proven he's great, but I think he's so much more likable than Durant, than LeBron, and he's one of those inspirational guys because he's such a small dude where you don't have to be the 6'8", 260-pound freak of nature to play ball, and Steph Curry proves it. So he's definitely going to be atop my list for off-season.
What are the national dates? My wife just texted me. She's trying to book the flights, and I'm trying to do this on the fly. Not that I'm not listening to you. Actually, no.
This isn't important.
Yeah, I'm listening to you. But if you could confirm
national dates, I believe, are July 28th through August 2nd. But I want to Google it just to make sure because I might be one day off. July 28th to August 1st is what the website says.
Yeah, so we're going to come in, I think, that Thursday, the 29th, fly out the 1st on Sunday.
Yeah, same here. Thursday through Sunday. And from the looks of it with Dallas, I remember Dallas, a lot of people were flying out Sunday morning. So I wasn't sure how many people were sticking around till midday or late on Sunday. But I think overall it's better to come early and leave early than to be a bit late and be one of the last ones to leave just because so many people will have to get ready for the following week. There you go.
Agreed. Thursday through Sunday. Yeah, fly in Thursday, fly out Sunday. Okay, got it. Okay, cool.
Maybe you can do this in 5 minutes after the show.
Yeah, a booking during the live stream. Hey guys, we're always
see Jeremy here. All right, hold on. Wasn't there something else we wanted to talk about? Or I mean,
you threw out a couple of things that I had vetoed because I thought it was dumb, but
that's usual.
What were we going to hit on? There was something.
Look at your text from your wife. Maybe that'll remind you.
Shoot. There was a good question that we had missed. Troy's asking about P breaks. I mean, he went like 30 minutes ago. I mean, he meant
Yeah,
like
I'm good for at least another 10 minutes.
I'm surprised you don't have like the 3 gallons of water, just like like the hamster thing where you just drink out of it.
Dude, there was one thing I noticed. There was a question on NFTs.
Grumpy
and
Card
I did not
guy.
hear
That guy in a while.
Huh?
Grumpy Card Guy is
Where's
in the
he?
house.
Oh, there he is.
Finance dad. You spelled dad wrong.
I'll take Cake Boy. Cake Boy sounds like a really strange superhero. Like I just throw icing at everyone. I'm like Spider-Man, but I'm just like shooting icing all over the place. There was one thing on NFTs, and I think Ziggy posted it about. I don't know if it was NFL or if it was Panini or something NFT related. There it is. Okay. Panini packs of NFTs. Have you heard about Panini NFTs like this?
I saw it on Ziggy's channel. I saw something about those packs, and I did see too that the MLB is.
Keep going.
Honest question. The MLB is joining up with Gary V and another guy have come up with Candy is the name of this platform, I guess, that's going to do this for the MLB, kind of like an NBA Top Shot, but the MLB's version of it. So that's in the works. That it looks like that's happening. Honestly, like, and I'm sure like with a lot of people, I'm in such a wait and see mode on all that stuff just to see like how it's going to catch on, how it's going, the utility of it. Is this kind of like, the AOL floppy disk version of NFTs? And then down the road, it's going to be a completely different thing. There's just so many questions with it. I do think it's going to be a thing. I just don't know like what it's going to look like and who are going to be the players down the road.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's funny because when NBA Top Shot took over, I was like, look, I don't know what it's going to end up being. In a year from now, I will have a sense of what it is. And it turned out to be a great short-term flipping opportunity if you got in early and you got out with your profit. And maybe it goes back up and maybe it has its moments. But when something's just launched, it's just like, all right, either I'm early in and I could gamble some money into it, but it's hard to say I believe in this full force over the next 10 years when there's no history to it. And the one thing that was concerning me, there was questions about dumping football in August and whatnot, is if the NFL launches their NFT version, if they decide to do that right as season begins, that's when I would be concerned. Because if they say, look, we are going to launch this week 1 and it's going to drop and all this, I would be nervous as to how much money would go to NFTs that would have gone to football cards. So that's also why whenever I see the profit I'm happy with, I'm going to sell and I'm not going to think twice about it because I only know a few of the factors. There's like 50 factors that I have no clue about.
I have a question for the chat if anyone knows this. I used to play Madden, the Madden football video game years and years ago. I know it's
the
still
original.
going on. Yeah, I played the 95 version of that. Is there I guess what I'm asking is there some sort of NFT or something that's, skins or something you can buy for the Madden game, upgrades for the Madden game? And the reason why I ask that is because if the NFL comes out with some sort of NFT, there's going to be that, where does it cross over? Where's the utility in it? Can you use it for seats at a game? Can you use it on the Madden video game? Is there some sort of, does it tie in? Is that already a thing? Is there already like upgrades in the Madden game that you can buy outside of just playing the game? And I ask that because that's kind of the speculation with a lot of NFTs, is that you're going to be able to tie this into other things. And I think outside of, I just think that's going to be kind of the big spec play on NFTs is what are they going to evolve into? And if they don't ever evolve into anything, then maybe it does kind of fall into nothing. I don't know.
Yep. I don't know if anyone has the answer there. But yeah, it makes sense. EA Sports, but that's where it's like, well, does Panini get involved? Can Panini get involved with EA Sports? Can it be something that's all combined, or are they just competing against each other? Again, lots of unknowns, and that's why I'd rather just sell when I see the profit, especially when you look at where the trends were, and when prices go up, it only lasts for like when it's really at its high, it's like just a few weeks where it's going to ridiculous levels and then coming back down. It's not like a 3-month buildup. It's like things catch fire. And then when they catch fire, it's mayhem. And then once it's mayhem, it's no more than like 2 weeks max before it goes down. So, just keep that in mind. All right, guys. Any last words, Dustin? This has been very mediocre as expected from you.
Yeah, as I always say, this is about an hour longer than I wanted it to be. So, thanks for having me on a day early since I'm going to be out of town. So, yeah, no, this was good. I enjoyed hanging out with everybody.
For sure. Enjoy grazing on your popcorn. I know you'll enjoy it watching the NBA game. So, guys, thanks so much for joining us. Again, if you want to be a part of the NFL break, it's a box of Prism. I'll be going over the instructions on my newsletter that comes out Friday, and then the packs drop for Whatnot, the platform that I'm using, on Tuesday, and the instructions will be there. So the comebackcardinvestor.com, register there, and I'll see y'all next.